let's talk about a story that is just, well, it's pretty wild. The story of Mother Angelica. We're talking about a figure of incredible influence, of just unshakable faith, and yeah, a whole lot of controversy, who built a global media empire from literally nothing.
So, let's just dive right in with the central question here. How does a cloistered nun in Birmingham, Alabama, someone sworn to a life of prayer and being shut away from the world, become the founder and CEO of a global media corporation? It sounds completely impossible, right? Well, it happened.
So who was she? Well, before she was Mother Angelica, she was Rita Rizzo, a woman from a pretty tough neighborhood in Ohio. And she embarked on this mission that, really, by any rational standard, should have failed from the get-go. Get this, the whole thing, the entire Eternal Word television network, or EWTN as we know it all started with just $200. That was her seed money. That and this absolutely rock-solid faith that she was doing what God wanted her to do. But that humble $200 start, it ran onto a wall, and fast. The reality was, the annual operating expenses for this new network were going to be over $1.5 million. The gap between what she had and what she needed, it was just astronomical. Okay, so how do you possibly make that work? She didn't have some fancy business plan from Wharton. Nope. She had something she called a theology of risk. And this was her whole philosophy, right? It wasn't about spreadsheets or projections. It was about this incredible, almost reckless trust. She just believed with every fiber of her being that if God gave her the mission, he'd also provide the cash, no matter how crazy the odds looked. And you know what? It worked. The money showed up through this just astonishing and kind of random group of people. Look at this list. You've got millions from the heir to the Miller brewing fortune, huge support from major foundations, and then there's a story about some guy on his yacht in the Bahamas who just writes a check for $600,000. One Dutch millionaire alone gave around $35 million over the years. The money just seemed to appear right when she needed it most. So the money's there. The network can grow. But what really made it take off? It wasn't the slick production quality, that's for sure. It was Mother Angelica herself. She was the star. She was the secret sauce. She just had this amazing way of cutting through all the noise and getting to the heart of things. This quote is a perfect example. How great is that? She's not sugarcoating anything. She's saying, yeah, faith is kind of messy and scary, and it makes you feel a little sick to your stomach sometimes. And that is something millions of people could really, really connect with.
And her on-air presence? It was the total opposite of what you'd expect. She'd be coughing because of her asthma, chomping on lozenges, sneezing right on camera, breaking down into fits of laughter. But people loved it because it was real. She wasn't some untouchable saint. She was this real person who would talk about really tough stuff, drug addiction, divorce, with this mix of a grandmother's wisdom and some tough love.
And the growth was just meteoric. Think about this. In 1981, she's broadcasting from a garage. Just 4 years later, EWTN is named one of the fastest-growing cable networks in the entire country. By 1987, their coverage of the Pope's visit reached an incredible 20 million homes. The rise was just explosive.
But then, everything changed. After a series of strokes, Mother Angelica's fiery, unfiltered, and deeply personal leadership of the network she built basically came to an end. So what happens to a revolutionary movement when its revolutionary leader is no longer at the helm? Well, that question is where this story gets really complicated and honestly pretty contentious. Without her direct, forceful guidance, the network's direction started to change, and that created this huge split in opinion over what her legacy has really become. So on one side, you have some really sharp criticism. This book from 2005 argues the network completely lost its militantly Catholic edge. It claims the new management started promoting a kind of watered-down blandness, a shift critics called modernism. They even say the network started censoring her own old shows for not being theologically correct enough. But then you have the other side of the coin. You have countless people, like Heather here, who say the exact opposite. For them, the network, even after Mother Angelica stepped back, was this incredible spiritual lifeline, a force that had a profoundly positive, life-changing impact, helping them come back to their faith. So you're left with these two narratives that they can't both be true at the same time. Was the network after her a corruption of authentic Catholicism, like the critics say? Or was it the continuation of this life-changing mission that, in her own words, transformed a disabled child of divorce into a global CEO? It really depends on who you ask. But here's the thing. No matter what you think about the direction the network took, and people will argue about it forever, there is one thing that is just not up for debate. And that's the sheer unbelievable scale of what she built. Today, EWTN, that little network started with $200 in a garage in Alabama, reaches an estimated 230 million homes in over 140 countries. I mean, that number is just absolutely mind-blowing. In the end, her legacy is as complex and as fiery as she was. And it leaves us with this big question. Was she a traditionalist icon who built something powerful that just lost its way without her? Or was she a brilliant evangelist whose creation is still out there, changing lives every single day? It's a tough one to answer. Maybe somehow the truth is a little bit of both.